Hello, everybody out there. This is Travis with the Broken Battery Pop Culture Podcast, brought to you by Broken Battery Entertainment. It is a pleasure to be with you tonight, and I am always joined by my good pal.
What's up, guys? It's Mike.
It's Mike.
Always joined.
Always joined. Well, Mo, for the most part. He's
That's not
usually
true.
here. He's usually here. Sometimes I think he sleeps in my basement, and I don't even know he's down there.
Nope.
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 You gotta go for those Taco Bell runs, man.
I do like Taco Bell, clearly.
Yep. So anyway, we are here with you, per usual, every week, giving you the facts about our opinions, about everything pertaining to pop culture. And I really don't need to rattle off everything about pop culture today, but today we'll be focusing on something Mike and I love very much, and it's pro wrestling.
Is pro wrestling in pop culture?
I would say so. They're one step down from comic books.
Okay.
Because I know a ton. It seems like everybody that likes pro wrestling likes comic books too,
Oh.
or superheroes in some sense. I mean, you're a huge Superman fan.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But before we get to that, we're gonna bring our spotlight on a piece of media that I think everybody should check out, and it's been out for a couple of years. Mike, you're not prepared, are you?
No, I don't ever. No.
So, we'll be talking about a game that got the shaft by the developers, but was so good that this is one of the few games that I'll actually go on YouTube and watch people play it, that they stream it, and it's the Friday the 13th game. That game is so much fun, and it's fucking scary, okay? If you want to get creeped out, and it's cheap if you go on the store. It's like $13 on the PlayStation Store, and I don't know how much on Xbox because I don't play Xbox. But anyway, and
It's probably $14.
it's probably $14, and you have to have the subscription.
And then you have to buy a special controller.
Yes, exactly.
You have to buy the machete controller. It's the only way you're allowed to play the game.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Just you can't attack people then. But I'm playing as fucking Jason. Now, the whole concept of this game is really cool because everybody joins in. Everybody is a camp counselor except for one person. They get to be Jason, and the counselor's got to survive somehow or kill Jason. There's a very specific way to kill Jason. I'm not going to give it away on here.
I have seen it on YouTube.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, they bring Tommy Jarvis from the franchise in. It's really neat, and and it's literally like being in a Jason like Friday the 13th movie, but not the really bad one where he goes to space.
Is there sex involved?
No, you're right. There isn't, but I mean, it should be given that
if I'm going to get killed by Jason, I better have sex.
Yeah, because we don't do drugs. I
need to have sex and like killed while on top.
Yes.
Or she gets killed while on top, the girl, and then I have to run screaming and trip over everything.
That would be such a... See, this is the future, man. Why do the girls always got to run away and like trip over something? Why can't it be a guy?
No, it's usually the girl on top, right? She gets stabbed through the tent.
No, it's usually the guy that does. Yeah,
the girls?
Yeah, you put yourself in the chick's position.
Well,
No,
sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Hey, I understand it's all about equality, and why can't the guy go away screaming?
Listen, if a mass murderer always comes after me, I'm just going to skip at a steady pace.
Yes, because you should be able to move over that trip.
They slowly walk. Yeah, you just don't trip over anything.
Exactly.
Like a light ginger pace.
I'm going to power walk.
Yeah.
Like the old people
and
at the mall.
I'll just taunt him as I'm slowly going away from him. Like, haha, motherfucker, you won't catch me. Power walking like I'm in a mall.
Yeah, what do you like about that with your stupid hockey mask that nobody uses anymore?
He would probably throw the machete at me.
He's got
a good
he's
got a solid arm. I wonder if he was a quarterback before he drowned in the lake unsupervised.
He was mentally handicapped, so I doubt it. I mean, but
you can do anything if you put your mind to it, Travis.
I know this, but I mean, I know my lore about Friday the 13th pretty well.
Solid aim with throwing his machete.
It seems like he has solid aim with anything.
He'd be really good at the axe throwing it, like the.
Like one of these multiple eateries around here that offers axe throwing, but they also offer booze. So that's not a recipe for disaster.
I bet you get killed in there.
But anyway, if you want to know more about Friday the 13th, the game, message us. and we will we'll hit you back. You know, just leave a message in the comments below, or smash that like button.
Smash
and follow.
Smash that homie.
Yes.
Like button.
But check it out. Great game. I could not endorse it enough. But let's get to the meat.
My
of the
spotlight is Madden. I don't know if you've ever played it before. It comes out every year. It's
In
great.
fact, if you challenge him and you want to play online, he'll probably accept the challenge.
I will beat you.
That's true. So if you want to play co-host Mike on Madden, he accepts all challengers.
That's right. No discrimination here.
No, absolutely.
No.
So we're going to get to the meat of the matter of our episode. We're going to be talking about pro wrestling, okay? I love pro wrestling. I grew up watching it. I've watched it since I was 6 years old. I know you probably watched it since you were 6.
Yeah. Well, when was WrestleMania 3?
Oh,
I'm old.
jeez, dude.
Was that 87?
Oh, no. It was 88 or 87. Yeah, you might
Why
be
don't
right.
we have these dates? This is ridiculous.
I don't know. But no. The
But
first
the point is, yes.
first, it was back
WrestleMania
then.
was 3 was in Michigan.
Yes, well, I mean, we didn't have the dates because nothing ridiculous happened in WrestleMania 3. But as I mentioned earlier, people who like comic books like pro wrestling, but
87.
yeah, good call.
So I was 8.
Yes,
Not to show my date.
yeah, show my date, no
my age.
problem. So, anyway, we decided we looked at pro wrestling now as opposed back then, and we realized it's getting kind of ridiculous in parts. Like, it's all right. I'm not saying pro wrestling's fake. I will not say that.
Well, it's predetermined.
It's predetermined. They've been coming out. Like, if you said to anybody back in the day, pro wrestling's fake, I'm talking like old school guys, like fucking Haku, guy that's known for like pulling people's eyeballs out of their head. Well, then, yeah, you know something?
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with that guy.
I wouldn't fuck
Haku
with
was
that
crazy.
guy. And it was
Well,
like,
even back then, it being predetermined, they still had a rite of passage in a sense. Like, I think Hogan, for even just to use WrestleMania 3 as like a point of view, like he wasn't sure if either was going to let him slam him.
right.
They knew he was going to
He
go
could
over.
have been like, "Fuck you, Hogan."
Yeah. I'm just like,
No,
like,
fuck
all right,
you, Hogan.
slam me. You
Yeah.
know, like
Absolutely.
they still kind of controlled in the sense of like you had to earn it, getting over the respect from the boys. But that's not what we're covering. We're covering the ridiculousness that makes it hard for us
To watch.
as men or fans
To watch this.
not even to watch it, but to make it like acceptable.
Hey, exactly.
Because stupid shit, they do these stupid shit stuff.
It's
and
like, yeah, they
and it
think
makes
they
it-
want to write for a fantasy TV series.
It makes it almost taboo to say you're a wrestling fan because of the shit they do sometimes.
Yes, and we'll be looking at
Like if you had a new, like you have a new younger fan, all right. And now with everything being accessible, streaming, YouTube, whatever,
right.
I wasn't big into New Japan.
Oh, New Japan is good.
I knew who Kenny Omega was.
Uh-huh.
I'd seen a little bit of him, but when they had the Wrestle Kingdom with him and Okada in that first match,
Oh, great match.
I watched it on YouTube because everybody was hyping it. I watched it the next day because it was released on YouTube the next day.
Right.
And I'm watching like, holy fuck! Like if I was a young fan and that was like my introduction to wrestling,
I would've got hooked.
That's amazing.
Right.
And if people were going to like, if that's what they were doing,
Right.
you could be a fan of pro wrestling. But some of the shit we're talking about, like, yes, I'm 42 years old and still watch wrestling. Like, this is the embarrassing part. That's what we're discussing here.
But no, but then again, we are not talking about the gimmicks, okay? We're not talking about the gimmicks.
Storylines or something they tried to do on TV that makes it ridiculous.
Yes, because let's face it, like back in the 80s, they had some really ridiculous gimmicks, like Repo Man. I've mentioned Repo Man before.
They do love Repo Man.
Well, the concept is hilarious to me. It's, nobody likes the Repo Man. He comes and takes your stuff, but maybe you should pay your fucking bills. And also, cowboys and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, we get it. That's your gimmick. You're a cowboy. You come out there, you're an Indian, which, good for you. You're proud of your national heritage, right? Things like that in pro wrestling. We are talking about stuff that warps reality and goes against the natural order of shit. There's still people, folks. Just because they say they're a knight doesn't actually mean they're from
Murder's
medieval England.
illegal.
Murder's legal. So is rape. All kinds of stuff in this. So
All right.
all bets are off. Let's plunge right in, Mike.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the defunct company WCW, which was a direct challenge to WWE.
WCW.
WWE, formerly WWF, which they had to change their name because of the World Wildlife Fund, and I had to say that so nobody gets mad. So anyway, WCW it was really good at the beginning. Is that the good when it from Crockett? It came back from the territory days.
I'm like, are you jumping already to NWO? Because
No. It was good before NWO also, but it had these moments from the booking staff.
We had Flair and Sting and Harley Race.
You had the legends in there, yeah.
Well, Sting and Flair. Well, Flair was old already at that point, but Sting was young.
Hey man, he was still bumping until a couple years ago.
They had Cactus Jack on there before he was even big.
Yeah, if you, those people that don't understand who that is, it is Mick Foley.
You better listen to a wrestling one. You know who Cactus Jack is. If not, click off this one. Just skip to next week's.
Okay, well, one of my favorite pay-per-views that happened for WCW was called Halloween Havoc, because Halloween is my favorite holiday. I love it. Great. And the first ever Halloween Havoc had this Chamber of Horrors match, which was cages. And in the middle of this cage is an electric chair. It's an electric chair. Okay, so you just
picture it. You just remember a picture. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And it's like, well, what pray tell? Do you have to pin your opponent in this? No. You have to grab a member of the other team, put them into the electric chair. And mind you, they build this as a real electric chair. And then you got to flip the switch and essentially electrocute your opponent. You got to kill someone. You got to kill him in the middle of the ring. Yeah.
Now, I mean, I've gotten
zapped.
I've gotten drunk and put on one of those electric dog collars they put on to like if you don't have a fence, you know.
Drunk.
Yeah.
Drunk.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I talked about it sober because I was so I am not a fan of pets, but I'm also not a fan of hurting pets, right? So I'm like, you're gonna put this on a fucking dog's neck. How does it feel? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, then we're gonna fucking find out before this gets like.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways.
Anyway,
but we're gonna electric.
So okay, so there's this wrestler out there. If you don't know, he's retired. He actually got in a bunch of Hall of Fames, even though he never really wrestled a lot for the two biggest companies. It was Abdullah the Butcher, he was known for cutting people's heads open with a fork. So anyway, Abdullah the Butcher
I'll allow it.
Yeah, Abdullah the Butcher gets put into the chair, and somebody hit Cactus Jack, and he didn't know what the hell was going on, and he pulled the lever thinking it was somebody else on the opposite team. Well, the lights start going all crazy, and he starts shaking like he's getting electrocuted, and I'm like, I was little, so I was like, is this really happening? And I'm like,
well, at least Abdul the Butcher was a heel.
Yeah, so I mean, it happened to a good guy.
You're like, fuck yeah, I don't like him anyway.
Just like the Green Mile all over again.
Green Mile wasn't out yet.
I know.
Anyways. Yeah. Needless to say, Abdul the Butcher was not dead yet.
So I figured I'd start off with murder.
Well,
yeah.
There's more.
There's more. CWCW is the most notorious for the murder aspect of this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you want to do one, Mike?
I'll go. I just go ahead. You can just.
Okay, I'll rattle them off.
List. Yeah, you rattle them off. We'll just discuss them, and I'll laugh for a minute and
feel
real retarded about being a wrestling fan.
Okay, so next up on the murder spree that is WCW is one that we actually we were talking about the show, and we missed something that had happened, and we totally looked over it, and we just came to our attention. It was what was like the Beach Bash or whatever, not Bash at the Beach, it was like Beach Blast or something. And like the British Bulldog and Sting were playing volleyball with a bunch of kids. And
they have a boat that's like pulled up on the shore.
Yeah, because people do that with
and
large
then
boats.
A mini guy, like a Hornswoggle 20 years before Hornswoggle.
Yeah,
has a fake fin on. And he swims up to the boat and puts a bomb on the boat.
Yeah, he puts a bomb on the boat.
They cut a promo with Sid Vicious.
And it was Vader and Harley Race.
Harley Race, and who was the other? There was two men. It was Harley Race, and somebody else was one of the managers. I can't remember the other guy's name. He's Cowboy.
Oh, it was Cowboy Bill Watts. I think it might have been Bill Watts.
I don't know, he's dressed like one of those dudes from Dallas. Like a white suit with a cowboy hat. Anyways, they cut this terrible promo, and then their boat blows up. And Sting's on the boat, finds the bomb, and British Bulldog Baywatches running on the beach.
Water.
I wish I would have slowed it down and played like the Rocky theme behind it. It would have been even better.
Oh, like it's from 3?
Yeah.
Where he's like running on the beach with Apollo?
Yeah.
Which...
So, and he like spears Sting into the water and away, and then this boat CGI blows up. Like, the boat doesn't move, but then there's graphics in front of it.
This is 90s CGI, so
It's like 94.
So it's like North Korea, like technology now, like for like movies and
So
stuff.
bad, so bad. So like you tried to murder 2 people.
Attempted murder.
Because you didn't want to wrestle them at the next pay-per-view.
I don't know why so many
wrestling.
sociopaths and psychopaths go into this industry.
Oh, wrestling.
So anyway, we're going to continue with WCW.
I wonder why they're out of business.
Yeah, I wonder why. Well, it could be anything, Mike. So anyway, we're gonna go forward a little bit, and we'll come back. We'll touch back on murder and stuff. I'm gonna name a lot of these pay-per-views because there's a lot of shit that happens on the weekly shows, but we'll get to that as well. Okay, so Mike, if you had to think of one amazing movie from the 80s involving robots, what would it be?
Would be RoboCop, right?
Yes, RoboCop. I think we could all say we were fans of the original RoboCop.
Well, not all of us, but
Well,
some.
people that are cool. So RoboCop showed up in WCW.
Good luck, WCW. I wonder why they're out of business.
And it ended up involving Sting, and Sting was in a cage. And all these bad guys were coming down to the ring to like screw Sting up, right?
Maybe attempted murder him.
Maybe, I don't know. They might have had shivs. I have no idea.
How many times has Sting been saved
By
in a ridiculous
way. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I just started thinking of like,
Oh,
right, so
there's
saved him.
more stuff on here with him.
Yeah.
So anyway, RoboCop shows up. RoboCop's the enforcer. I mean, like later on, WWE would do something similar, but they use Chuck Norris, and I can get behind Chuck Norris being there. But this is fucking RoboCop, okay? He comes there, and nobody wants to mess with RoboCop.
Well, yeah, he's RoboCop
He's RoboCop, and he's apparently real.
from Detroit City.
Yeah, we're showing out. We're showing our Detroit love, hometown boy, Alex Murphy, aka RoboCop. So yeah, he scares away all the bad guys, and RoboCop saved the day, and Sting went on to wrestle.
Almost die again in some other storyline.
Oh no, he almost did. Well, we're gonna get to that. It's fine.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
It's super rough, man.
Was that so? Like, time wise, was that like before RoboCop 2 or same time? Just down the road after? I like sometimes like, oh, a movie's coming out, right? So like Batista will be in a movie, so then Batista shows up on Raw, a month before his movie.
Right, and he's trying to plug it. That's like what they did with Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger showed up when his movie End of Days came out in '99.
Yeah.
And like, what DX wanted to beat him up. I'm like, you're gonna go assault an actor on your show, but I can look past that because that's like classic pro wrestling right there. They don't like somebody coming in there stealing their thunder.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about, movie plugging, Mike, and I know where you're going with this.
Curious, like I'm just curious, like I don't even.
Oh, they did do that, Mike.
Oh, yeah, they do that all the time.
I know, but they just did it recently. They did it at Backlash.
Oh dear God, that was on this list. All right, so Backlash.
Okay, no, let's set the scene. Okay, let's set the scene. All right. So there's a match in pro wrestling called the lumberjack match. So they bring a bunch of wrestlers out to the ring, and it's usually to keep people from interfering in the match, right? And they bring all these people out, and they surround the ring. If somebody gets thrown out of the ring, they usually beat on them a little bit, throw them back in. Okay, so one of the best heel workers in WWE right now he's named The Miz, and he has a lackey named John Morrison, and they're both great. They're both good wrestlers.
Called John Morrison a lackey.
He's a lackey right now, but he was great before.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's like walking around before the match. He's like, I'm gonna go check out the lumberjacks, and he goes and opens this door, and there's a bunch of fucking zombies in there. I'm not like zombies, like actual like zombies, living dead, like makeup, everything. Mind you, Batista's movie just dropped on Netflix. We already did a review on this movie. Anyway, so there's zombies right there, and he does this scared look on his face, and he closes the door, and he's trying to explain it, and he's blowing them off. And you see the zombies in these backstage videos all the time, just in the background, moving around. So the zombies are the fucking lumberjacks.
Yeah, so then the match goes on, and at the end of the match, Miz gets...
No, before that, talk about what happened to Morrison.
I don't even remember. I don't
Morrison
remember.
goes to like interfere, and he gets his leg grabbed. He gets pulled down to God knows where by these zombies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Miz gets covered by zombies, essentially being eaten alive
Yes.
by zombies. And that's on a Sunday because it's a pay-per-view.
Right. What happens on Monday?
Miz is there.
And so is John Morrison.
Why aren't they zombies? You missed an opportunity.
Yes, you missed a great opportunity.
If they would have came back as zombies the next day, I'd have been like, touche, WWE.
I'm like, you totally restated it.
Way to play the long game.
Like the long game. That gimmick
They
could
should
work.
have to find love
And then come back to
and
life.
come back to life like that zombie movie. Where
Oh, warm bodies?
Yes.
Oh.
See?
Well, if they don't find love, they turn all bony and become skeletons.
You could have done this. You missed opportunity. That was a terrible one. That was just recent, too.
That was recent. I mean, we have plenty of
I'm not gonna lie.
backlog stuff.
I have actually, around that time and on, I watch far less wrestling right now.
I do, too. I mean, I used to watch it religiously.
I go through spurts anyways.
Uh-huh.
You know, and something will happen. Like, when Punk did the pipe bomb,
Oh, great.
I was
On a lull.
not watching it at the time, but it happened and I'd read about it. Like I'd read what happened on Monday night. And
Yeah,
I'd
and it'd
read
be
what
great.
happened on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But I wasn't watching it. And then the pipe bomb happened so I went back and seen that, and then and that also literally coincided with the exact time that my oldest kids were old enough to like get into wrestling.
Uh-huh.
So they started watching at the same time, and then you get the next, you're taking your kids to pay-per-views and Monday Night Raws.
Absolutely.
And,
Then you end up going on
buying
your
up-
own because they don't want to go with you.
Yeah, and then then they get in high school. It's no longer cool to go watch wrestling, so they don't. Actually, my favorite story about that is, they'll still they're older now, but they'll still be like, oh, WrestleMania's on? Yeah,
I'll watch it.
fill me in real quick. So like a couple years ago, I think my oldest is probably like 16, 17, he's 15 or 16 because he watches WrestleMania, ends real late.
Yeah.
He's in school next day and he's like talking to him. He's like, man, I'm so tired. Like, I stayed up late. I had to watch something last night. And the kid's like, yeah, I stayed up late too. I watched something too. And they're kind of staring at each other. He goes,
They're playing chicken. They're playing
like,
chicken. You going to say it? Or I'm going to say it.
What'd you watch last night? And the kid's like, so I watched WrestleMania. And my son's like, oh my God, so did I. Awesome. We can talk about this real quick.
But let's talk over there, out of earshot from everybody.
Yeah, we're going to sit at our own table. Anyways.
But the thing is, there's matches, okay? There's matches, obviously. There's the normal singles match. There's the tag team match. There's 6-man tag matches, battle royals. And we just mentioned a lumberjack match. There's all these stipulations and stuff. And sometimes the stipulations make it really fucking bizarre and turn it into a fantasy gladiatorial thing that you can't be like, yeah, I can't get behind this. Even when I was like back watching WrestleMania 14 with the first ever Inferno match, I was like, okay, so what happens?
That's where you think somebody's going to get caught on fire, right?
Yes, where they get caught on fire.
Wasn't that like Kane's arm?
Yes, well, this is kind of the one where I saw coming because he's fully clothed.
Yeah. Kane always had like the one arm. He always had the one sleeve, right?
He had the one sleeve until he actually,
until he lost his mask, and then he went no sleeves.
Yeah, he went no. He lost.
He actually started with both sleeves.
He did, but then he had one sleeve that wasn't, and they're like, he's hideously burned. Then you find out, oh well, that's the guy that played. He played an evil dentist before.
Yeah,
and he's not actually burned. He's not actually related to the guy, but it's all in his head. And I'm like, well, okay, I can actually get behind that.
Yeah, because remember, he couldn't talk.
He couldn't talk. He had one of those voice analyzer things, and he's like,
and then
yeah.
he could talk.
And then they're like, oh, did he tell you he had a surgery or some shit?
Yes. So I think if I haven't watched that match obviously in years, but didn't he have like, you could see like his arm was like whatever
they put like a plastic thing over the top
outfit
of it.
he was wearing.
Yeah,
like
he had a plastic thing over the top of it.
It was a little thicker.
Yeah.
Like his arm was a little.
No,
more,
don't get me wrong. That guy's built.
Yeah. I just meant like it was more fabric. And then he catches his arm on fire and he loses.
And his gloves made of leather.
Yeah, that was a dumb one.
Yeah, it was. Well, all of them were dumb. I mean, they had other Inferno matches.
Yeah, they just lit somebody on fire.
They just lit somebody on fire. This is a recent one.
Yeah,
We are jumping around. We are jumping around because
yeah.
they kind of segue into this, folks.
Yeah, I decided to jump into that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got Randy Orton versus The Fiend.
Okay, so set the stage. Imagine I have never heard of the Fiend. What is he?
I don't. Come on, man.
He's like a demon from hell kind of thing.
No, he's Bray Wyatt in a mask. or Rotunda, right? He's
Mike Rotunda.
Is he Mike? Which Rotunda is he?
I don't know if I don't even know if it is Rotunda. But
Yeah, no.
It's supposed to be Bray Wyatt.
Right. But he's
other people fill in with people under the mask.
He's IRS and Repo Man's son.
Yes. I don't know who Mike Rotunda's son's name is, but he filled in for him. Thing is, okay, so there's the Fiend, okay? He comes out, he's scary looking. He's got a cool mask.
Cool mask, nice entrance.
And he's
got special powers.
Yeah, don't get me started about fucking special powers.
You know my issue with that. My issue with the whole special powers.
Why don't you just hit him with lightning?
Well, no. So that stuff's dumb, don't get me wrong, but like you lost an opportunity a couple years ago at WrestleMania. Taker face him at WrestleMania, and Taker already had his loss.
Right. So
he'd already has lost to Brock.
Yeah.
I
don't
think he had his loss to Roman Reigns yet. I can't remember the time frame on if he had Bray first.
I don't know.
But either way, he already had his loss. Bray Wyatt was already kind of in that sense of like
he's a crazy cult leader with powers.
Yeah, he had the cult leader. He had the Wyatts with him, and then he'd do that trance thing where like he'd jump out of nowhere into like the spider crawl looking thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You had an immense opportunity right there to pass on the powers.
Right. But don't get me wrong, I love the Undertaker. I love his gimmick. It's badass.
Absolutely. But right there you had an opportunity to give him that.
Right.
And they didn't, and he loses. And then they bury him even more in losses. And now they got this good wrestler, great promo. They don't know what to do. They reinvent him in The Fiend.
And it's good.
Good. They almost killed it because he lost to Goldberg. Like they're making him unstoppable, and then he takes 2 spears and he's lost to Goldberg.
Right.
Then they had to have him disappear again. Comes back. He's over again. He's great, right? Him and Randy got this who can be crazier?
Heated feud.
Who could be crazier? And they're lighting stuff on fire, so they're gonna have this Inferno match or whatever. I don't know what they called it.
It was an Inferno match.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Randy Orton, the end, like he hits him with an RKO. He's in the middle of the ring.
And mind you, this is during the pandemic.
Yeah, so you have no
There's
crowd.
nobody.
You have no crowd. So they decided to shove their own thumbs up their ass. And was like, let's get creative. Let's just light him on fire. The whole person. It's obviously not him.
Yeah, there's a dummy that's burning in the ring.
So they light him on fire. So you've killed somebody. Going back to murder is illegal. But then, like, let's say 5-6 weeks later, he comes back conveniently right before WrestleMania. It's
right.
Crazy.
And he walked down through the miracle hallway.
No, not yet. He came back burnt.
Oh, yeah,
So his mask was a different mask.
Because, that's his real face.
It was like that, but burnt, and he had different, like he had charred because he'd been burned alive.
Yeah.
And then at the WrestleMania entrance, they show him walking in like a white hall, like the light, like you're walking to heaven.
Yeah.
And he walks through it, and bam, he's back to his normal mask.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Makes my brain. And then he loses that. Like to even go farther than that, he loses that match. Like this isn't even in what we're discussing, but I'm going to bitch about it.
Okay.
Then he's getting ready to like destroy Randy Orton, and like a giant box appears, and here's Alexa Bliss on the top of the box, and then all of a sudden like black ink starts running out of her from her forehead,
and the distraction
and he gets
happens.
distracted, and he turns around, gets hit by an RKO, and he's been missing since then. So he got burned alive.
Came back from that
in 6 weeks, and I'm throwing a number out there. It was 4, 6, whatever.
Yeah.
But WrestleMania was fucking April. It's almost July.
Uh-huh.
Why doesn't he come back from an RKO and a distraction from a woman?
Yeah, I know. And mind you,
is that greater powers?
It's greater powers, and also
I understand the power of the P.
Pop.
Yeah, that's not what I mean.
Oh, it's not what you mean.
But he doesn't need to be finding the power of the P from Alexa Bliss anyways. That man left his wife with 3 kids for JoJo, the ring announcer.
Oh man. Oh come on, man. That's the Fiend. That's not Bray Wyatt. So anyway,
You're right, that was Bray Wyatt,
and
not the
also
Fiend.
talking about Alexa Bliss, this literally happened like a couple days ago.
See, we're jumping again.
No, this is just segueing, folks. Okay, so Mike was referencing the girl that popped out of the Jack in the Box, Alexa Bliss. She was normal. The Fiend corrupted her.
Brought her inner Harley Quinn out.
Yeah, so she's like play on Harley Quinn mixed with something macabre. And so she's finally started wrestling again after throwing fireballs at people and making people lose stuff. And she's in the ring in this pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell, just a couple days ago. And she makes eye contact with the person she's wrestling and apparently hypnotizes her to let her go.
In the very no mumble jumble, no snapping fingers,
No
coin to distract,
nothing. She just looks at him.
And in a trance,
And
then she makes eye contact with somebody outside the ring and gets her to slap somebody. This is the shit that makes I don't know. I gotta quit wearing my wrestling shirts. This is embarrassing.
Yes,
and it gets worse. I
mean,
you're
this is
probably
pretty
shaking
bad.
Your head right now, thinking how do I watch wrestling?
Yeah, because we're gonna group this all into dark powers that wrestlers have, right? And these are the most erroneous things.
So the funny thing is we talk about how great Taker's character is, and Taker wrestled for 87 years.
Yeah.
And he had all these mythical powers, but we're only gonna bitch a little bit about Taker
because he's cool.
So Taker has almost human sacrificed people.
Yes, he almost human sacrificed. He transformed wrestlers into his disciples. Like he took this guy named Mabel, who is this giant black guy, and he was like this youth inspiring street preacher type gimmick character, and turned him into Viscera, who was wearing
Or if you asked Dave Meltzer, he was going to be the 3rd guy in NWO.
Oh, Viscera was?
Yeah. It's a long story.
Oh God! Anyways. Don't listen to Dave Meltzer. No. That guy's a turd. So
you know what the good thing about thinking about the ministry and that and getting all those guys, he got Farouk and Bradshaw, which effectively when they broke up turned into the APA,
which was a great tag team.
So
you want to know why? Because it's realistic. But although their 2 conversions were the most realistic, instead of taking a hillbilly, like what. Phineas Godwin and turning him into Midian.
Yeah. I was like, what's his name?
I'm like, oh, you're still a jobber too. And Viscera, which is named after an internal organ. So anyway, and during this whole time, he did a lot more of the I'm calling down lightning and shit and stuff like that. You're like, yeah, we get it. It's all theatrics.
That's another guy that's come back from death.
Oh yeah, he went to heaven.
Yeah.
He lost. And they actually did a projection of his soul going up to heaven. And then they showed him on the screen, and his eyes open, and he says, rest in peace. Now, don't get me wrong. I was 12.
He lost a buried alive match, a cactus match.
Well, I mean, buried alive, I can understand because they're only covered up with a little bit. It's just covering your
How many times did they kill Paul Bearer?
They killed Paul Bearer a bunch of times. Rest in peace, Paul Bearer. You're one of the best managers ever. They killed a bunch of times.
Yeah, he had the cement.
Yeah, they buried him in cement too.
Taker walked by, just turned it on. And I think I talked about this before. Didn't Kane leave him in a boiler room or something?
Yes, and it was on fire.
Yeah.
And speaking of on fire, WCW did something equally bad, like the Inferno match, and it involves Sting of all people. So
what?
Well, I know, right? And Sting, doesn't he do a dark gimmick now? And he was doing dark gimmick at the time. It was called a Human Torch match, so it wasn't jacking off anything. And he was wrestling Vampiro, who was another dark character that wore face paint.
Well, I mean, he's the Crow.
Yeah, he is the Crow, not Vampiro. Sting was.
Yeah, he's the Crow with the bat.
Yeah, he was the bat. Mr. Gideon, you're not paying attention.
You didn't.
So anyway, let me set the stage. I don't know if you ever saw that pay-per-view.
I don't remember.
Well, anyway,
paint me a picture.
There's a torch, and Vampiro grabs it, and he climbs on top of their version of the Titantron, whatever it's called, the Nitrotron, or whatever the fuck it was. So Sting goes after him, climbs all the way up there, well out of the reach of the camera's view. You could see images over there.
Yeah.
Then you see a big thing of fire happen, and somebody jumped off, flaming, and hit like a stage area, but the stage area collapsed, almost like it was supposed to be landed right there.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, a lot of
So
airbags, and there's a lot of airbags nowadays, and
Oh,
it kind of suspends. It's
did you
really
see
bad.
the end of Hell in the Cell?
No. I kind of turned it off. I kind of lost interest after I saw somebody hypnotizing people.
I'm gonna go rogue again here, but so I forget what they call them now. What's these
Crash pads.
crash pads? Yeah. That's what so. They're
The
like,
same thing as an airbag.
You know, with the pandemic not having full crowds, they're trying to get creative. And here's the thing with wrestling: before the crash pad, you took the bump, and if you couldn't take the bump, you don't do it.
You don't
right?
do it.
Like
That's why Mick Foley got
Mick
over.
Foley never had a crash pad, right?
That's why Terry Funk stayed relevant and well into his 60s.
Just recently in AEW, you know, Jericho took a crash pad, and it was kind of
awful.
Yeah, it was real bad. Well, so WWE at Hell in a Cell in their main event, Lashley does like a choke slam on the apron, like he's on the inside of the ropes. McIntyre's on the outside of the ropes, on the hardest part of the ring, and he choke slams him to the ground. Except for they slid a crash pad. The camera doesn't show him land, and then it pans over a couple seconds later to show him on the ground. Except for you see a hand from under the ring pulling the crash pad. I swear on my children, it's on. You can see the
I'm
hand.
going to look that up now, and we're going to post the video on the Facebook page.
You can see the picture of just the hand pulling the crash pad back under. And I'm like,
next on
First of
WWE, there's a pillow fight
listen,
match.
All right, no, here's my issue with this. Forget, what a disrespect to any wrestler that's taken a bump longer than what fucking 5 feet?
Yes.
You can't take a choke slam from the ring onto the mats.
It
you
hurts.
Know how much I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. McIntyre is a big boy.
Yeah.
But then don't do the spot. Because how many times has Jeff Hardy jumped off a 30-foot ladder and missed?
Shane McMahon fell off the side of their Titantron, and then Steve Blackman, he didn't have any personality, but he did an elbow drop from the top of there.
Well, I mean, McMahon, he's used a crash pad, too, when he jumped off the Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, but he was up 60 feet. Like, there's a difference. Yeah. I mean, like...
But, I mean, listen, Shane's also earned my respect with the Kurt Angle match. Shane's done some shit back in the day before crash pads.
Yes, we're going to give props to the Kurt Angle-Shane McMahon match. Was it from King of the Ring?
Yeah, my spotlight. As he throws him through a glass that doesn't
break. He kind of bounces off.
So he picks him up again and throws him harder.
Then he broke his tailbone in that match, too.
Yes, he did. Anyways.
But this is all the stuff we've been naming, like, that they were doing, like, on pay-per-views, okay? Now, mind you, the wrestling shows themselves were... Oh, wait, there's one other pay-per-view. We're going to talk about one more pay-per-view before we get to the actual TV shows. We're going to actually talk about 2 instances, but it's not about WWE or WCW. It's about the new kid on the block, AEW.
Oh, AEW. Are you talking about their death match?
I'm gonna one up you on this one. We'll go back to the death match in a second. This was at they had that Stadium Stampede match with it was at the Inner Circle versus the Elite.
Oh, you're talking about the
Matt Hardy.
Matt
Hardy apparently has different personas, and he got pushed into a water and time traveled. He got pushed underwater and he transformed into 3 different people. He transformed.
Yeah, but he's done that stuff with. He did some of that with his own final deletion and stuff in TNA.
Yeah, he did that there too. He also did WWE, where he transformed Bray Wyatt. He baptized him. He had this. The great thing about Matt Hardy was he played the crazy gimmick really well.
Yeah,
and everything he did wasn't over the top. He had a drone. Although, except for the drone shot out a hologram, and he's like, Bray Wyatt, enter, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you don't have technology like that. That's not how. That was a graphic. So anyway, that happened. But when he's in the stadium and he's fighting with this guy in the water, he gets pushed out and gets brought up 1 second. He's wearing a completely different fucking outfit. And he did it again. He did it like 3 or 4 times, and it was a different version.
Didn't he come out like V1 Matt Hardy?
V1 Matt, and then he came out like original Hardy.
Matt Hardy is V1.
Oh, I know. That was my favorite Matt Hardy gimmick. Oh, yeah, because he had fun facts. Matt loves Eggo waffles. So anyway, that's my bitch about that one. So,
Well, that's a small one.
yeah, it wasn't as bad, but
The death match that they had recently with Omega and Moxley when.
well, and this shit happens in Japan a lot too. They have exploding rings.
Yeah. And I don't mind. Okay, so you're already building something that's too big here. Like, right, you're supposed to have a wrestling match with rings with ropes, and they can't go into you go into the ropes, explosion, boom, right? And I don't think it probably hurts more the sound, I'd imagine.
See, explosions, guys. Okay, so explosions kill you one of two ways: shrapnel from the actual exploding device, and there's this thing called I don't know the exact word, but it's concussive force. It causes your organs to explode. So if you're too close to a bomb and you get hit by shrapnel, the concussive force hits you, and I don't know, your fucking bladder busts, or your kidneys shut down, or your heart explodes. And guess what? Well, that didn't happen. That doesn't happen in these matches.
So forget my only bitch about this match is the end. Because they talk about there's a time limit, and then the ring's gonna explode, and they've got all these things, and so the match ends. There's a countdown. They jump Moxley. They handcuff him. They got him in the middle of the ring, and the timer's going.
And his buddy runs in to help him.
There's warnings going up. There's sirens, like the place is gonna fucking explode. And his buddy comes in and jumps on him like he's sacrificing his own self. And it was like, pew. It was like,
boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, they tried to cover it up afterwards. Like, what were we supposed to do? Kill him? Like, no, just don't advertise. Like, don't
do the match. Don't do that.
Don't
gimmick.
do the ending. Don't say if the match has ended, the ring's gonna explode. Well, guess what? The match ended before that anyway. So just get the fuck out of there. You don't have to have a.
Did you learn nothing from the Bulldog and Sting? Get off the boat before it blows up.
Just have the match end, and then we're like, oh man, I would have liked to see the ring fully explode, but oh well, they pinned him in 30 minutes,
right?
Or 29. Like, I would rather that than the letdown of like,
yeah,
sparklers and shit. Like, it's fucking terrible.
But okay, so
that's just one of those bad letdown wrestling moments. So that's not even one. Like, the advertising the match is what makes us
pissed. Yeah.
Like,
kind of look at the ground. Like, I don't know what's going on.
If I'm getting this paper, my wife's sitting next to me, and she's like, "There's going to be an exploding death ring match," and then I got to explain to her.
And you don't want to explain
somebody's
it.
not actually going to die.
Because then you're hearing yourself say it, and you're suspending your own disbelief on this, but you're kind of like trying to tell them. It's like those people that like write really bad stories and they explain it to everybody. I'm like, well, how come your story didn't explain that? Well, it's in the subtext. I'm like, no.
It just hurts.
But the thing about pro wrestling is, okay, they have pay-per-views every month for the most part. They also have their weekly shows, or they had their weekly shows. And the thing is, there's never reruns. It's always something new. And that's one thing I can give them. It's always something new.
They should take breaks. They should treat it like a season. And
right. It would be more legitimate. Like, they used to look at it as a sport back in the day. But
if you think about this, if you took a break from like SummerSlam to
just a month,
not even like a SummerSlam to November 1st. In November 1st, you got to quickly build a Survivor Series. Then you got Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Or even, I mean, shit, you could do Survivor Series, take a break till
Christmas.
Second week of January. Like right after January 1st, and then build towards the Rumble.
Right, but
because they don't do anything during fucking Christmas.
Well, it's that carny mentality, man. Pro wrestling came from carnivals. It came from traveling shows.
Yeah, it's just bad.
But
all right, give me your.
But the thing is
embarrassing raw moments here.
No, it's not even so much. That's what I'm getting at, Mike. Like, these TV shows have probably the worst examples, like, out of this stuff. Okay, so I am gonna I got most of the stuff from Raw because WCW I never really watched Nitro. I mean, they didn't have a ton of them, but they had poor taste. They had poor taste stuff. They didn't have stuff that was crazy.
They had poor gimmicks.
Yeah, poor gimmicks.
And they were hot for NWO was just a little over the top, and too many people were in it. But
not the 32 people,
but not like hand birthing.
No, yeah, okay. So we'll get going on that one. So there was a wrestler named Mae Young who was like 80 at the time, legend in pro wrestling.
She's
She's a
old.
woman. She took bumps from the Dudley Boys when she was 80. She's like getting power bombed through tables, and she goes, "If you're gonna do it, do it." So she there was a character.
Is that your Mae Young impression? I don't think that's exactly.
I never met the woman.
You got to work on it.
Oh my god, I'll work on my old lady permit.
Thank you.
So anyway,
Next time.
rest in peace, Mae Young. You were very appreciated. And she at the time they
I
put
wonder what her kid's doing now.
I couldn't tell you. Ooh, shiny red ball. So anyway, Mae Young fell into a relationship with the world's strongest man, Mark Henry.
Sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate.
That's one of the great gimmicks.
Yes, for a guy that's legitimately the strongest man in the world. Hey, I got a crazy idea. Let's call you sexual chocolate instead of playing up how strong you are.
Just walk around wooing women.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so she gets pregnant at 80. Now, I don't mind the pregnancy like gimmick.
Listen, by an athletic, strong man, like
By Mark Henry.
Could happen.
She goes into labor, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't 9 months, but she goes into labor.
Yeah, it was like 4 weeks.
It was 4 weeks.
They had a pay-per-view. They'd end the storyline real quick.
Yes, they did. And she gave birth to a hand. just
a hand.
Just a hand. And he actually showed up at an anniversary show.
He did.
Full grown.
Like
a
a
giant
hand
guy.
like from like the Addams Family. Like,
yeah, he was. You can see his face in the middle of the
hand.
costume.
What the fuck? Do you remember the Sunny things where she's like she was hooking up with guys like a dude dressed as Elmo?
No.
Oh yeah. I can't remember the payoff on it, but I'm just thinking like how ridiculous that was.
Well, did that happen on a show?
Yeah, it was on Raw.
Really?
She
dressed up like Elmo, or
no? Whoever she was hooking up with was like Elmo. It's weird.
Oh yeah, and they didn't the
I'm
Muppets.
not even sure they had a payoff on it.
Yeah, well they had they had guest hosts on Raw
Yeah,
for a while.
that was later though. I'm talking about this like early Sunny.
Right. I'll get back to the guest hosts.
The good Sunny.
The good Sunny. The guest hosts on Raw. I mean, they were just so. They had legitimately the biggest athlete in the world in the Big Show. And this is a guy you think, if he fights some of these guys, he's going to tear them apart because he's big and he can move and he's strong. And he usually uses enhancement talent, like to get people over. So they did this gimmick where there was the Big Boss Man who was just like a disgraced cop. So he was
a cop from the South, for sure.
Yeah, from the South, yeah. And he was going after the Big Show's title because he was heavyweight champion at the time, and they did a thing. His dad died, and they actually used that in the storyline.
Oh God, I forgot about this.
And he rolled in like he had this car, like the Blues Brothers car. He had a giant speaker on there, and he found out that the Big Show's dad had like. They weren't married when the mom conceived him. So he rolled up on the funeral calling him a big bastard. He's like, that's right, you're a bastard. Then he hooks up the car to the fucking casket.
Steals the casket.
And he starts driving off in the middle of the funeral. Big Show tries to stop this, jumps on the casket and surfs it. And he surfs on it, trying to quit it. He's yelling, no. Look at the video online. I can't give it enough justice. It was one of the most ridiculous things I ever saw.
I've watched wrestling for a long time after that too.
Yeah, I did too.
Like that's ridiculous.
I was like, yeah.
I'm gonna like not watch wrestling after. I need like a palate cleanser.
Yeah, exactly. I would eat like 30 pounds of ginger. And you're like, yeah.
I need a palate cleanser after this.
After this list. Well, and you were talking about gimmicks, right? And one gimmick I thought was like incredibly clever was Val Venus's gimmick.
The porn star.
He was a quote-unquote. Well, people actually believed it though.
Well, because the Vignettes of introducing him had like Jenna Jameson with him, and Jenna at that time was the biggest porn star in the world.
Did you ever watch the whole video? Like it showed like a rocket taking off and like hot dogs on a conveyor belt, and him like he had a purple helmet on his head. He got up out of a bush. Stretching. So anyway, Val Venus's shtick was he would always bang women in the company.
It was like Rick Rude, but dirtier.
Yeah, it was
like
a dirtier version. Rick Rude was a great bad guy. And he had supposed sex with Ken Shamrock's sister. Mm-hmm. It's how he got into feuds with stuff. Well, he feuded with this heel group called Kai and Tai, which is a bunch of Japanese guys.
Yeah, I brought this one up today.
Yes, you did.
Just thought of it today. I was like,
they're very
how do I put this correct? Like Vince doesn't know what to do with the Asian wrestlers.
No, he doesn't.
He's still, I mean, he still kind of dropped the ball with Shinsuke
Nakamura,
Yeah.
great wrestler.
Yeah, he
I mean-
dropped that with Kenta.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so these guys, great wrestlers, but they're little guys, but they're like ninjas.
They're like
'Cause,
ninjas.
Like they got a sword.
Yeah.
So
Or they spit
he
mist.
sleeps with
Tajiri.
yeah, they always So so he sleeps with his wife or girlfriend, whatever it is, and so yeah, they kidnap him and they were going to castrate him.
Yeah.
Just Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah, they had to say they had a samurai sword to cut him.
They were going to cut his
it
wiener off.
and it ended with his trunks around his ankles, bare ass, while people are running in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maiming someone. That's against the law.
That's illegal.
I want to see a gimmick, Mike, where they like rob a bank, because that's one thing they haven't done. They're like, okay, well, if I win this match, you got to rob this bank. It's more believable than half the shit they do.
You know, talk about like that and like illegal. Like, do you remember the Brian Pillman?
Yes, he
Austin
pulled
stuff
the
where he has
gun.
the
on-
gun?
Yes.
Yeah, and then like the cameras go off, but there's a gunshot. And, like, that's illegal. You can't fire it.
And again, Pillman was still on TV the following week.
Yeah, you can't fire an arm at somebody. It's
Well,
illegal.
They also did one where it was Goldust and Roddy Piper were fighting. This is a callback, and they spliced in a clip of a white Bronco going down the road, and I'm
that
like,
was funny though.
yeah, that was funny. A lot of people thought it was in poor taste,
Well,
making fun of
yeah.
OJ.
Well, not making fun of OJ, but I mean, there were two people horrifically murdered.
Murdered, yes. Getting back to Raw,
I'm pretty sure, by the way, the Bronco literally went out of like being made strictly because of OJ.
they wanted it to blow over. It's going to be released just recently. So they had a live sex show on one episode. Well, they tried to.
Yeah, Edge and Lita.
Edge and Lita. I mean, there's not much to say. They were going to do a live sex show in the middle of it.
That one's a little. I think she just come out recently and talked about she didn't want to do it, and
Right.
so it's like.
It's like you could see like you could see like Vince McMahon, like one of those shifty like talent agents that like the people who want to get nude and catch like, do you want to be a star? Or do you not want to be a star? And he's got like a fucking cigar in his hand.
He's got two like stress balls.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was bad. The sex. I mean, listen, Lita's gorgeous.
Right. So the next two I'm going to bring up, Mike, are actually involved the chief executive officer, or is he talent relations right now?
He's chief executive.
Is it Triple H?
He's COO, not CEO.
Okay. It was one where, he's married to this woman now, but
he's married to Vince's daughter, Stephanie McMahon, the $1 billion princess.
But how it all started off was
in the storyline.
She's
supposed to get married to Test.
Yes, and he
drugs her and
takes
fakes
her
a
to
marriage. And so you drugged a girl.
You basically.
And now you've actually storyline and in real life been married to her.
Yes.
So we're just gonna ignore the fact that you drugged her.
You drugged her, and you married her, and they still married you.
You got like 3 kids.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that because it's ridiculous. But I think the most fucked up one, and I mean, yes, we get it for humor purposes, trying to be funny, but I don't find necrophilia funny. It was one where they did the storyline where Kane got his girlfriend killed, but I'm like, I thought this guy was burned, and he lived in a fucking basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
So the Katie Vick.
Triple H had this mask on, and he goes into this mortuary where this woman's supposed to be laid out, or fake thing. I mean, was he just doing it to mock him, or was it supposed to be?
I don't even remember, but I know the storyline, and I know the scene you're talking about, but I can't. He like climbs on her right in the casket.
Yes.
Oh God, wrestling. I need a palate cleanser.
Yeah, you claim that maybe.
I need to go to like a Ring of Honor show or something like
yes.
Like real.
Let's go to something brutal, like the actual Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Mankind.
Dear God.
Yes, brutal ending, but it was 100% looked fucking like a fight. But if we missed any, because
you're going to miss, like, that doesn't cover everything,
right? Because
the point is I don't know about you, but if you listen to this because you're a wrestling fan, you feel dirty right now.
Yeah, I have to
I
go
do.
take a shower.
I gotta go in the shower. I'm gonna hug my wife, kiss my kids on the forehead, and maybe,
Damn it, I'm better than this.
maybe sell some of my wrestling figures.
I mean, there's other things like the gobbledygooker, which was a service.
Yeah, no, we're not going into gimmicks. That's
There's just some really stupid gimmicks out there, and that'll probably be a future show. I guarantee you, the worst gimmicks and the best. But
Well, maybe not. Listen, I don't know if I want to talk about wrestling. I'm telling you, I feel dirty right now.
we're probably not gonna put it off for a month. So anyway,
I need a palate cleanser.
but we want to thank everybody out there.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Broken Battery Pop Culture Podcast, brought to you by Broken Battery Entertainment. As always,
Talk about it with your friends, share it, listen to it, tell your mom.
you know, you can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts,
Everything. Pornhub.
Google. No, you can't find us Pornhub.
Still not?
No, that's up to you. And I'm not even sure. I'm not signing off on that yet.
I thought
You can find us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Like us on YouTube. Leave a message in the comments. That's how we get found. OnlyFans. You won't see me on there. You'll see Mike, though.
Probably not.
He's been working on his abs.
That's right.
Anyway, thanks again. We'll catch you guys next time.